Hello friends. Let's talk about a pattern of evil that I kind of have alluded to before, I guess. It's when you are building upon what is evil. You make the thing that is dark, that is evil, your reason for behaving a certain way, even if you perceive that way of behaving to be good. And I say this is all part of the pattern of evil because that means that the one who is evil is the one who decides, what happens, if it's clever enough. Like recently there was this thing with Zelensky and Trump in the White House and their vice president. And I started to think about it, like what could the European leadership do about this? And the best solution I came up with was they could have like a unified call for volunteers, right? And then they could pay them a lot, these volunteers who take part in this Ukraine war. That's kind of what the Russians do, right? I think I read that they pay like 4 times as much money for people to fight in Ukraine. And of course then they have the slave soldiers that come from North Korea, as volunteers, I guess. I don't know. I don't think they're volunteers. But so Russia, it makes their whole country so horrible to live that there's no opportunities for young men, and then they bribe them to go and die in this war. That is how Russians do it. Now the European leadership could like genuinely ask for volunteers, because there's now this will that we need to defend Ukraine. Europeans have to like stand together kind of. But they don't want to take part in the war completely, so they could ask for volunteers, have this unified call for volunteers, and then pay them, and of course give them the equipment to go into this war and fight. This is something that could happen, right? And this to me seems like a clever thing, because then Russians can't, say that all the European countries are taking part in this war. NATO isn't really part of it, it's just volunteers. But and this probably isn't gonna happen. I don't think the European leaders are that clever about things. But even if it did happen, that's what I'm trying to say in this video, it would still be part of the pattern of evil. Because the reason is then Trump and what happened with Zelensky, when they bullied him, when they spoke down to this man who is fighting for the survival of his country, freedom and democracy from a foreign invader that is Russia. The United States betrayed everything they claim to believe in. So this creates like an opportunity in the world to do something that's right, to capitalize on it. But this is all part of the pattern of evil. When you make something that's dark, your light, you become something that piggybacks on what is evil, and then the evil thing can take you places. One of the more obvious examples of this is in this tweet by Andrew Tate, where he says some horrible things. He speaks from a wicked heart, and a person shows up to piggyback on it. And if you're real about things, you understand the only reason anybody cares about what this man is saying is because it's contrasted with this light that comes from the Andrew Tate person. And that is a light of darkness. It's black light. This is like a pattern of evil that is really visible to you, right? Like, why were we not paying attention to this man who was doing all these good things, taking care of the children who need help, who has this lovely family? Why doesn't he have the fame that Andrew Tate has? Because the world loves darkness and the deeds of darkness, even when it's pretending to love the light. I want to repeat this point because people will hear this and they think I'm saying the narrow, imbecile thing that they believe in, instead of the greater point that what I'm making is. The people who love Andrew Tate are not the only ones who love darkness. The people who hate him also do it because they don't love the light. They did not make this champion of righteousness and just and love for the special needs kids their hero. No, they're only pretending now because it gets to be about hating Andrew Tate. And this is not light. This is falling victim to the pattern of darkness, Satan's schemes and manipulations in the world. They only care about the light when it's contrasted with the darkness. And this is if the enemy is clever enough, and it is clever enough, it's the dragon, it's the serpent, it's the father of lies. He uses this to take people wherever they want to go. God is the only salvation we have from this whole system that is the beast, that is the spirit of insanity, that does not follow the light, that does not obey the good shepherd. God is our salvation. There's no hope otherwise. I want to show you another example of the pattern of evil being literally, as obviously as the tweet with Andrew Tate, literally being broken. And that is when this man took his helicopter and put it in the line of fire of people who were raping and killing civilians in Vietnam. And how long did it take for the United States to give credit where credit is due? And as I understand it, none of the people who did the evils they did. Like you can see in the picture, one of the women is putting on her clothing because she was raped and assaulted. They got away with their crimes. No, they didn't though. God is our salvation. God is the judge of people like this. I can't wait for their torment to begin. Praise God. God is great.